Many of you, I'm sure, know there was a trend where there was adoption of cryptocurrency for payments, and it seemed like every day a new company was accepting Bitcoin or some other cryptocurrency for payments, and then that all went away. That completely just collapsed. And I think what we've learned is that, I still believe that cryptocurrencies work for payments. I still think we're going to get there one day, but I think the path is indirect. I think we're going to need things like DeFi, we're going to need institutional adoption, and in particular, we're going to need on-ramps and off-ramps that really work.
David Schwartz setting the record straight. XRP will be used for payments. And if you think otherwise, you're sorely mistaken. In reality, there's just more building that needs to take place. First, we need DeFi, adoption, proper on-ramps and off-ramps. We need to take a lot of that bloat that's still stuck in the system and remove it. Take most of these transactions on chain where you have the speed and the cost effectiveness, have real integration with traditional financial systems so the money flows on and off of the blockchain efficiently, and then and only then can you realize that original vision. What they've been doing has been a stopgap. You're having to pay a bunch of fees to exchanges and deal with, that friction. And those problems, being able to take money off the exchange and get it over ultimately to your bank, they ain't going to be doing this. You're going to be doing most of your transactions in the digital era. And those digital systems, those blockchain systems will be directly incorporated with your bank accounts, your brokerage accounts, and everything else where money can truly flow like information. And when we get to that point, because that's what they are doing now, you see it unfolding in front of your eyes, then we can capture that original vision of using XRP, Bitcoin, Ethereum, whatever you may want for payments and real utility in the real world. It's coming quickly. This is not a diversion. This is the final build out here. Now, we've seen BlackRock, what they did with Bitcoin and Ethereum. Is XRP next? Where are they? Why have they not filed yet? Well, you notice they don't play this whole game of filing and getting delayed and delayed and delayed. They know when to strike, and I think that moment is near here. The same signals that preceded Bitcoin and Ethereum's ETF approval are flashing red for XRP here. We had a major legal victory, didn't we? Grayscale just blowing open the path for a Bitcoin ETF. We have a Ripple legal victory as well. Maturing markets. These crypto markets continue to mature, get more depth, more volume, and more trading data on a regulated market. That's happening right now, moment to moment, in the futures market. A futures ETF is now trading for XRP, and that really sets the stage here. SEC, they were reviewing of just a flurry of other applications. We see that same sort of behavior happening right now for XRP, and underlying demand is bubbling. It's building. It's getting ready to blow up for XRP. You see that happening. And lastly, we have something that BlackRock did not have on their side really for Bitcoin and Ethereum, and that is a SEC that's willing to work with this space, and it's going to make it that much more effective. They are going to descend on this asset soon, and you will see a BlackRock ETF filed, and you will know it's game time. BlackRock, Fidelity, and the real heavy hitters. I saw this article put out, and it says Ripple's potential Circle acquisition could shift power in stablecoins and sideline XRP. So I put this up again. They're misconstruing what's going on here, as David told us in this opening, and I talked about as well. And I put, obviously, Ripple would spend billions of dollars to acquire Circle just to sideline the asset they hold 40 billion of. Understand this. You want XRP to be successful. You want it to be valuable. They hold 40 billion plus XRP. They have more incentive than anyone to try to ensure XRP becomes valuable. That will set their ultimate, value of that corporation. All that XRP they hold. XRP is the gold. XRP is the value for Ripple. Understand that, and you won't worry about silly little articles like this. XRP, why is the price going up? I get asked that all the time. Why now? David Schwartz in this interview said, you know what? It's not hype. It's not hype that's causing that. It's because markets are finally rational. Liquidity constraints are being lifted. Of course, we've had relistings of XRP on U.S. exchanges. You're more able to invest and use XRP, and so you're seeing that effect. Regulatory clarity is emerging. You have victories in court. You have an SEC that's friendly, working with the space. Now you are free to go ahead and invest. Institutions, now they can jump in. They could not before. They had to be worried about, if we invest in XRP or we do anything with it, we're going to be sued. They don't have to worry about that. When markets function correctly, price is going to follow when there's value there. And that's what's happening right now. In real time, you are seeing XRP start to catch up where it should have been. This isn't even growth yet. As my buddy Billy the XRP Cowboy says, this is just a catch-up phase. You're going to see growth on the near horizon here. Part of showing this maturing asset class, the first XRP futures ETF launches on the NASDAQ. The Volatility Shares XRP ETF, the first US-based XRP futures ETF trading on the NASDAQ 1-to-1. The door to institutional XRP exposure just opened wider, and this is going to be day by day, more and more of this type of stuff. And a lot of people out there are scared because I know the story. When Bitcoin futures ETFs arrived, the price tanked. Look, we entered into a long and vicious bear market there. I don't care if you had futures or not. That was going to happen. I don't care about the timing of it, how it appears. It's nonsense. And you're just looking for a boogeyman there. I mean, think about this. We're supposed to stand up against corporations and nation states, and this technology is going to free everyone and be the basis of the future financial system. But here comes futures. We're cooked now. Like, that doesn't make any sense. If that's all it takes to take you down is the launch of a futures product, then you're cooked. Look, this is just the step into maturing into a real financial asset, nothing more. This is a big story here, and I hope I can cover this from a grounded place, because you'll have the people that are big SWI investors that tell you, it's nothing, it wasn't the SWI protocol. And then you have the haters out there that will say, this is the doom and gloom, this is the end of things, and it's neither of that. Like normal, the truth is somewhere in the middle. We see 260 million drained from the SWI ecosystem. The largest DEX on SWI has been exploited in one of the most devastating DeFi attacks in 2025. This wasn't the SWI blockchain failure, but does it really matter? I mean, think about this. Let's say the Sum wallet. It was hacked and all the users out there lost devastatingly all of their money. You could say, well, that wasn't the XRP ledger itself, but no one would care. It would cause massive damage. It would cause, huge harm out there because people suffered real losses interacting with the XRP ledger. Like, that's the main thing people use. It wouldn't matter. If MetaMask had some catastrophic failure or Uniswap, it's going to affect things. So it's not nothing. It doesn't mean that the SWI blockchain is broken, but it's significant and it's going to take time to overcome this. We had attack exploited vulnerabilities in the DEX's smart contracts using spoof tokens. So again, these were the smart contracts of the DEX, not the underlying blockchain. And this really affected significant assets and trading pairs like SWI USDC. It just disrupted their value. Understand, SWI's blockchain was not hacked. The SWI blockchain remains secure. This vulnerability was isolated to the DEX, but still real damage was done. Trust is going to take a hit across the whole blockchain, across all of its DeFi. One of the things we've been talking about is its massive adoption and how much money is in these pools and how it's being used. Well, that's going to slow down a bit as they work through all of this. Understand, it's not just the underlying blockchain, it's also major apps that can sync a protocol. And luckily, this wasn't big enough to cause a catastrophic failure, but on some blockchains, it could. So just understand, there's a lot in a decentralized ecosystem. There's a lot of people that could take you under, and that's the risk of this space. And we keep working by this. We'll learn from this, but this won't be the last time we see something to this degree. It's not nothing, and it's not everything. SWI will rebound and have a great bull run, but this is a wake-up call. If you're invested in crypto, understand it's not just the base infrastructure of a blockchain. It's all the major apps and applications and builders that build on top of it. They all can cause a situation like this. Now, a lot of people said, well, at least the DEX is built in with XRP Ledger. This type of thing couldn't happen. On Ledger says, wow, your memory is very short. There was, when the AMM was shipped, there was a vulnerability there. And people could have had something like this to the level we saw with SWI. It was caught. It was kept quiet. until it was upgraded. And then, of course, they told everyone, which is the right move. I mean, you don't want to announce, hey, everyone, here's a good way to steal people's money. This can happen. And if that wouldn't have been caught and they wouldn't have fixed it ahead of time, we couldn't say, oh, well, wasn't the XRP ledger, it was just the DEX, because they are one and the same in this instance. So it can happen on any blockchain. This is software. Errors can happen specifically with the advancements of artificial intelligence. You're just going to have a lot more attack vectors here going forward. Every single blockchain has risk. Just understand that. And so does traditional finance. Thus is life. The SEC, they've delayed the decision on Bitwise and CoinShares XRP ETF and Canary XRP Trust and CoinShares Litecoin ETF. So we can see it's not quite time. We don't know exactly what the SEC is doing, but BlackRock does. And I still believe that they're not going to just surrender the broader crypto space. I think when it is time, and it will be soon, that's when you'll see the heavy hitters, the big players start filing XRP ETFs, Solana ETFs, all that kind of stuff. It's coming. It's just going to take a little bit more here to work through this. Lastly, I saw this by It's Dave Ada saying SUI validators are actively censoring transactions across the blockchain. This completely undermines the principles of decentralization. We always have to look at this kind of stuff. Like, how easy is it to freeze transactions, stop transactions? Any blockchain could do this. We had a rollback with Ethereum, of course. But I thought this was a little funny coming from an ADA investor when we just learned that the head of the Cardano project broke out his Genesis keys to do something good, which is what they're doing here, right? They're doing something good. They're stopping a thief. But, Charles broke out his Genesis keys to move funds around. I mean, all of these blockchains have levels of decentralization. And the only thing that can really keep them honest is the users and the people running the infrastructure. And that's really what you're looking at. Can it hold up to if the government comes in and says, we need you to add these features. We need to be able to freeze people's funds of, the native asset stuff like this. There is no perfectly decentralized system. Not Bitcoin. Bitcoin could get taken in a weird direction. It would be up to the users and the node runners to say, no, we're not going that direction. That's always the case. Any blockchain is just as good as its community, essentially. Let me know what you think down below. As always, please like, please subscribe. The revolution will be televised right here on Jungle Link.